16th. Sign. The wonders that took place before his prophetic mission but which were related to it are called irhasat, and these too were indications and proofs of his prophethood. They were of three kinds. The first kind. This kind of irhasat comprises the tidings of Muhammad's, upon whom be peace, prophethood, given by the Torah, the Bible, the Psalms of David, and the scriptures revealed to other prophets, as stated by the Quran. Indeed, since those books are revealed scriptures, and those who brought them were prophets, it is necessary and certain that they should have mentioned the one who would supersede their religions, change the shape of the universe, and illuminate half the earth with the light he brought. Is it possible that those scriptures which foretold insignificant events would not speak of the most important phenomenon of humanity, the prophethood of Muhammad, upon whom be peace? Yes, since they would certainly speak of it, they would either denounce it as a falsehood, and so save their religions from destruction and their books from abrogation, or they would affirm it, and through that man of truth save their religions from superstition and corruption. Now, both friend and foe agree that there is no sign of any such denouncement in the scriptures, in which case there must be affirmation. And since there is certain affirmation, and since there is a definite reason and fundamental cause for such affirmation, we too shall demonstrate, through three categorical proofs, the existence of this affirmation. First proof, God's noble messenger, upon whom be blessings and peace, says to them through the tongue of the Quran, "Your scriptures describe and confirm me. They confirm me in the things I say." He challenges them with verses such as, "Say, bring the Torah and read it if you are men of truth." Quran chapter 3, verse 93. "Say, come, let us gather together, our sons and your sons, our women and your women, ourselves and yourselves. Then let us earnestly pray and invoke the curse of God on those who lie." Quran chapter 3, verse 61. Despite his continuously taunting them with verses such as these, no Jewish scholar or Christian priest was able to show that he had made any error. If they had been able to, those very numerous and very obdurate and jealous unbelievers and dissembling Jews, and the whole world of unbelief would have proclaimed it everywhere. The messenger, upon whom be peace, also said, "Either you find any error of mine, or I shall fight you until I destroy you." And they chose war and wretchedness. That means they could not find any error, for if they had, they would have been saved from all that. Second proof, the words of the Torah, the Bible, and the Psalms do not have the miraculousness of those of the Quran. They have also been translated again and again, and a great many alien words have become intermingled with them. Also, the words of commentators and their false interpretations have been confused with their verses. In addition, the distortions of the ignorant and the hostile have been incorporated into them. In these ways, the corruptions and alterations have multiplied in those books. In fact, Shaykh Rahmatullah al-Hindi, the well-known scholar, proved to Jewish and Christian scholars and priests thousands of corruptions in them and silenced them. Nevertheless, despite these corruptions, in our times the celebrated Husain Jisri, may God have mercy on him, found 114 allusions to the prophethood of Muhammad, upon whom be peace, and included them in his al-Risâle-i al-Hamidiye. This was translated into Turkish by the late Ismail Haqqi of Manastir. Whoever wishes may refer to it. Also, many Jewish and Christian scholars acknowledged and admitted that the attributes of Muhammad the Arabian, upon whom be blessings and peace, were written in their scriptures. The famous Roman Emperor Heraclius, who was a non-Muslim himself, said, "Jesus foretold Muhammad's coming." Also, another Roman ruler called Muqawqis, the governor of Egypt, and celebrated Jewish scholars and leaders such as Ibn Surya, Zubair bin Batiyah, ibn Akhtab and his brother Ka'b bin Asad, although remaining non-Muslim, admitted, "He is described in our books." Also, some of the well-known Jewish scholars and Christian priests gave up their obduracy on seeing Muhammad's, upon whom be peace, attributes as described in the above-mentioned books, and believed in him. They then pointed out these references to other Jewish and Christian scholars and convinced them. Among them were the famous Abdullah bin Salam, Wahb bin Munabbi, Abu Yasir, the two sons of Saya, Asid and Thalaba and Shamul. The latter lived at the time of Tuba, the ruler of Yemen. Shamul became a believer before Muhammad's prophetic mission and without ever seeing him, just as Tuba did, while the guest of the Bani Nadir before the prophetic mission, a Gnostic called Ibn al-Hayyaban, declared, "A prophet will soon appear, and this is the place he will emigrate to." He died there. Later, when that tribe was at war with God's messenger, upon whom be blessings and peace, Asid and Thalaba came forward and cried out to the tribe, "By God, he is the one Ibn al-Hayyaban promised would come. Don't fight him." But they did not heed him and paid the penalty. Also, many Jewish scholars like Ibn Yasin, Mikhayrikh and Ka'b al-Ahbar became believers on seeing the prophetic attributes in their books and silenced those who did not accept faith. There was also the famous Christian scholar and monk Bahira, who was mentioned above. God's messenger, upon whom be blessings and peace, was 12 years old when he went to Damascus with his uncle, and it was for his sake that Bahira invited the Quraysh, for he had seen a cloud casting its shadow on the travelling caravan. When it continued to do so, he realized that the one he was seeking had remained with the caravan, and he sent someone to fetch him. He told Abu Talib, "Return to Mecca. The Jews are exceedingly jealous and will resort to treachery, for his attributes are described in the Torah." Also, Nestor the Abyssinian and the ruler of that country, the Negus, came to believe on seeing Muhammad's attributes written in their books. Also, a well-known Christian scholar called Dagata became a believer on seeing the description of the prophet, upon whom be peace, and was martyred when he proclaimed this among the Byzantines. Also, from the Christian leaders, Harith bin Abi Shumar al-Ghassani, and the prominent rulers and religious leaders of Damascus, such as Sahib al-Ilya, Heraclius, Ibn Natur, and al-Jarud, entered the fold of Islam after seeing the prophets, upon whom be peace, description in their books. Of them only Heraclius concealed his belief for the sake of worldly rule. Also, like these, Salman al-Farsi had formerly been a Christian. He searched for the noble messenger, upon whom be peace, after seeing his description. Also, a famous scholar called Tamim, and the well-known Abyssinian ruler, the Negus, and the Abyssinian Christians, and the priests of Najran, all unanimously declared that they had seen the prophets, upon whom be peace, description in their scriptures, and had come to believe in him. The third proof. Here, as examples, we shall point out from the Gospel, the Torah, and the Psalms a few instances of verses concerning our prophet, upon whom be blessings and peace. First, in the Psalms there is the following verse: "O God, send to us after the period between prophets one who will establish an exemplary model." Here, one who will establish an exemplary model refers to the Prophet Muhammad, upon whom be peace. A verse from the Gospels says, "The Messiah said, 'I am leaving for my Father and your Father, so that he may send you the Paraclete,' that is, Ahmad Muhammad." A second verse from the Gospels, "I ask from my Lord for the Paraclete, that he may abide with you forever." Paraclete, meaning the distinguisher of good from evil, is the name of our prophet, upon whom be peace, in those books. A verse from the Torah says, "Verily God told Abraham that Hagar, the mother of Ismail, will bear children. There will emerge from her sons one whose hand will be above all, and the hands of all will be open to him in reverence." Another verse from the Torah, "And he said to Moses, O Moses, verily, I shall send them a prophet like you, from the sons of their brothers, the children of Ismail. I shall place my word in his mouth, and shall punish whoever does not accept the words of the one who will speak in my name." A third verse from the Torah, Moses said, "O Lord, verily I have found in the Torah the best of communities that will emerge for the benefit of humanity, that will enjoin good and forbid wrong, and that will believe in God. Let it be my community." God said, "That is the community of Muhammad." A reminder. In those books, the name of Muhammad is given in Syriac form, such as Mushafa, Munhamana, Himyata, and names meaning Muhammad in Hebrew. Otherwise, the name of Muhammad is explicitly mentioned only in a few places, and was also altered by the jealous Jews. A verse from the Psalms of David states, "O David, a prophet will appear after you, named Ahmad Muhammad. He will be truthful, and he will be a chief, and his community will be forgiven." One of the 7 Abdullahs, Abdullah bin Amr bin al-As, who made extensive studies of the earlier scriptures, and Abdullah bin Salam, who was the earliest to accept Islam from among the famous Jewish scholars, and the famous scholar Ka'b al-Ahbar from among the children of Israel, all pointed out in the Torah, which was not then corrupted to its present extent, the following verse, which after addressing Moses, then addresses the prophet yet to come. "O prophet, verily, we have sent you as a witness, a bearer of glad tidings, a warner, and a protection for the unlettered. You are my bondsman, and I have named you the reliant on God. You shall not be harsh, stern, and clamorous in the marketplaces, nor shall you requite evil with evil, but instead pardon and forgive. God shall not take you unto himself until you straighten a crooked people by causing them to say, No God but God." Another verse from the Torah, "Muhammad is God's messenger. His birthplace is Mecca. He will emigrate to Taiba. His rule will be in Damascus, and his community will constantly praise God." In this verse, a Syriac word meaning Muhammad is mentioned for the word Muhammad. Here is another verse from the Torah. "You are my bondsman and messenger, and I have named you reliant on God," which is addressed to a prophet who is to come after Moses, and is from the progeny of Ismail, the brother of Isaac. In the following verse from the Torah, "My chosen bondsman," is not harsh or stern. The meaning of Mukhtar, chosen, is the same as Mustafa, a name of Muhammad. In several places in the Gospels, a prophet who will come after Jesus is referred to as the Master of the world. He is described as, "He will have with him a staff of iron with which he will fight, as will his people." This verse indicates that a prophet will come with a sword, charged with waging jihad. Qadi min Hadid, literally staff of iron, means sword, and so will be his community. In agreement with the biblical verse mentioned above, and referring to it as well as some other verses, the following Quranic verse at the end of Surah al-Fath also states that his community, like him, will be commanded to wage jihad. And their similitude in the gospel is like a seed that sends forth its blade, then makes it strong. It then becomes thick, and it stands on its own stem, filling the sowers with wonder and delight. As a result, it fills the unbelievers with rage at them. Quran chapter 40 Surah 8 verse 29. In the 33rd chapter of the 5th book of the Torah, there is the following verse. "The Lord came from Sinai, rose up unto us from Sa'ir, and shined forth from Mount Paran. In this verse, with the phrase, "The Lord came from Sinai," the prophethood of Moses is mentioned, with the phrase, "rose up unto us from Seir." Seir, being a mountain near Damascus, the prophethood of Jesus is indicated, and the phrase, "he shined forth from Mount Paran," the Paran mountains being the mountains of Hijaz, gives tidings of the prophethood of Muhammad, upon whom be peace, as all will agree. Moreover, confirming the sentence, "This is the similitude in the Torah," Quran chapter 48 verse 29, is the following verse of the Torah concerning the prophets upon whom be peace, companions who would shine forth from the Paran mountains. The flags of the blessed ones will be with him, and they will be on his right. In this verse, the companions are described as the blessed ones, that is, his companions are blessed, righteous men, the beloved ones of God. In the 42nd chapter of the book of Isaiah, there are the following verses. "See my servant whom I uphold, my chosen one, in whom I delight. He will reveal justice to the nations of the world. He will encourage the faint-hearted, those tempted to despair. He will see full justice given to all who have been wronged. He will not be satisfied until truth and righteousness prevail throughout the earth, nor until even distant lands beyond the seas have put their trust in him." Here, the verses explicitly describe Muhammad, upon whom be blessings and peace, the prophet of the end of time. In the 4th chapter of the book of Micah are the following verses. "But in the last days it shall come to pass that the mountain of the house of God will be the most renowned, one of all the mountains of the world, praised by all nations. People from all over the world will make pilgrimage there. Come, they will say to one another, let us go up to the mountain of God and the house of God." These verses obviously describe the most blessed mountain in the world, Mount Arafat, and the worship and proclamations of "God is most great," of those making the Hajj, who will flock there from all climes, and the community of Muhammad, famous for the divine mercy it will receive. In the 72nd chapter of the Psalms, there are the following verses, "And he will reign from sea to sea, and from the river to the ends of the earth. The kings of Yemen and the islands, all will bring their gifts. And to him all the kings will prostrate themselves, all the nations will serve him, and he will live, and on his behalf prayer will be made constantly, all day long he will be praised. His name will prove to be, to time indefinite. It will continue as long as the sun. All will be blessed in him. All nations will praise him." These verses describe the glory of the world, the Prophet Muhammad, upon whom be peace most evidently. Apart from Muhammad the Arabian, what prophet has come since David, upon whom be peace, who has spread his religion from east to west, made kings pay tribute, and brought rulers to submission as though prostrating? To whom every day 1/5 of mankind offer benedictions and prayers, and whose lights have irradiated from Medina? Has there been any other? Again, the Turkish translation of John's Gospel, chapter 14, verse 30, says, "I shall not speak with you for much longer, for the ruler of the world is coming, and I am nothing compared with him." Thus, the title "Ruler of the World" means glory of the world. And the title Glory of the World is one of the most famous of Muhammad the Arabian's, upon whom be blessings and peace, titles. Again in John's Gospel, chapter 16, verse 7, it says, "But I am telling you the truth. My departure is but for your benefit. For unless I depart, the Comforter will not come." Now see, who other than Muhammad the Arabian, upon whom be blessings and peace, is the ruler of the world and true consoler of men? Yes, the glory of the world is he, and he is the one who will save transitory man from eternal extinction, and thus comforts him. Again, the 8th verse of chapter 16 in John's Gospel, when he comes, he will give the world convincing evidence concerning its sin, its righteousness and its judgment. Who other than Muhammad the Arabian, upon whom be blessings and peace, has turned the world's wrongdoing into righteousness, saved men from sin and associating partners with God, and transformed politics and world rule? Also from the Gospel of John, the 11th verse of chapter 16, there is deliverance from judgment, for the ruler of this world has already been judged. Here, the ruler of the world is certainly Ahmad Muhammad, upon whom be peace, for he is known as the master of humanity. Also in John's Gospel, the 13th verse of chapter 16, but when he, the Spirit of truth, comes, he will guide you all to the truth, for he will not be presenting his own ideas, but will be passing on to you what he has heard. He will tell you about the future. This verse is explicit. Who, apart from Muhammad the Arabian, upon whom be peace, has called all men to the truth, whose every statement was based on revelation, has spoken what he had heard from Gabriel, and informed man in detail about the resurrection of the dead and the hereafter. Who other than he could do this? Also, the books of other prophets include names in Syriac and Hebrew that correspond to the various names of the noble messenger, upon whom be peace, such as Muhammad, Ahmad, Mukhtar. For example, in the scriptures of the prophet Shu'aib, his name is Mushafa and means Muhammad. In the Torah, he is mentioned as Munhamana, which again means Muhammad, and as Himyata, which means the prophet of al-Haram. In the Psalms, he's called al-Mukhtar. Again in the Torah, the name is al-Hatam al-Khatam. Both in the Torah and in the Psalms, it is Muqim al-Sunnah. In the scriptures of Abraham, and in the Torah, he's mentioned as Mazmaz, and again in the Torah as Ahyad. God's most noble messenger, upon whom be blessings and peace, himself said, in the Quran, my name is Muhammad, in the Bible, Ahmad, and in the Torah, Ahyad. In fact, the Bible refers to him as the one with the sword and the staff. Indeed, the greatest of the prophets who wielded the sword and was charged with fighting in God's way together with his community was God's messenger, upon whom be blessings and peace. And the Gospels also describe him as wearing a crown. Yes, this title is particular to God's messenger, upon whom be blessings and peace. For crown means turban, for in former days it was the Arabs who, as a people, all wore the turban and headband. This definitely therefore refers to God's messenger, upon whom be peace. The term paraclete in the Gospel, or Paraclete, is defined in biblical interpretation as the one who distinguishes truth from falsehood. It is therefore the name of one who in the future will lead people to the truth. In one place in the Gospels, Jesus, upon whom be peace, says, I am going so that the Lord of the world may come, who other than the noble messenger, upon whom be blessings and peace, has come after Jesus, who will be the ruler of the world, distinguish and separate truth from falsehood, and guide mankind in place of Jesus. That is to say, Jesus, upon whom be peace, was constantly giving his community the good news. Another will come. No need will remain for me. I am his forerunner and herald. Confirming this is the following verse of the Quran. And remember, Jesus, the son of Mary, said, O children of Israel, I am the messenger of God unto you, confirming that which was revealed before me in the Torah, and bringing the good tidings of a messenger to come after me, whose name is Ahmad, the praised one. Quran, chapter 61, verse 6. Yes, in the Gospels Jesus gave the glad tidings many times that the greatest leader of mankind would come. He is mentioned with various names in, of course, Syriac and Hebrew, and has been seen by scholars, which bear the meaning of Ahmad, Muhammad, and the distinguisher between truth and falsehood. That is to say, on many occasions, Jesus, upon whom be peace, told of the coming of Ahmad, upon whom be blessings and peace. Question: why is it that while the other prophets foretell the coming of Muhammad, upon whom be peace, Jesus, upon whom be peace, does so more fully and in the form of good news? The answer: because Ahmad, upon whom be blessings and peace, defended Jesus, upon whom be peace, against the fearsome denials and slander of the Jews, and saved his religion from corruption. Furthermore, in the face of the burdensome Sharia of the children of Israel, who did not recognize Jesus, he came with an elevated Sharia, which was easy, all-encompassing, and completed the deficiencies of Jesus' Sharia. For these reasons, Jesus often gave the good news: the ruler of the world will come. Now it is clear that in the Torah, the Gospels, the Psalms of David, and in the scriptures of other prophets, there are numerous discussions of a prophet who is to come at a later time, many verses mentioning him, just as we pointed out examples of these, showing that he is mentioned in these books under various names. Who, other than Muhammad, upon whom be blessings and peace, the prophet of the end of time, could it be that these scriptures of the prophets speak of so repeatedly in their verses, and with such importance? The second kind. The signs of prophethood that were manifested by way of irhasat also include those tidings of his coming given before his prophetic mission in that time between prophets by the soothsayers and certain people known as saints and Gnostics at that time. They published their claims and passed them down to subsequent generations in their poetry. These are numerous, and we shall mention some that are well known and have been accepted and narrated by the scholars of history and the prophet's life. First, one of the rulers of Yemen, called Tuba, saw descriptions of God's messenger, upon whom be peace, in former scriptures, and believed in him. He announced this by means of a poem, which went like this: I bear witness to Ahmad, for he is a messenger from God, the creator of man. Were I to live long enough to see him, I would be a minister and a cousin of his. That is, I would have been like Ali. Second, Qus bin Sa'idah was the most renowned and most significant orator of the Arabs, a monotheist, and man of enlightened mind. Before Muhammad's, upon whom be peace, prophetic mission, he announced his messengership with these lines: Ahmad shall be sent forth amongst us, the best prophet ever sent. God's blessings be upon him, whenever a riding party sets out amidst cries. Third, Ka'b bin Lu'ay, one of the forefathers of the noble messenger, upon whom be blessings and peace, announced Muhammad's, upon whom be peace, prophethood by way of inspiration as follows: Suddenly, Muhammad the prophet will appear, giving tidings most true. Fourth, Saif bin Di Yazan, one of the rulers of Yemen, read descriptions of God's messenger, upon whom be blessings and peace, in the old scriptures, and believing in him, longed to see him. When Abd al-Muttalib, Muhammad's grandfather, went to Yemen with some of the Quraysh, Saif summoned them and said, A child will be born in Hijaz, with a mark between his shoulders resembling a seal. He will be the leader of all humanity. Then, in private, he told Abd al-Muttalib, You are his grandfather, foretelling his mission in a wondrous way. Fifth, Waraka bin Nawfal was a cousin of Khadija. When the first revelation came, the noble messenger, upon whom be blessings and peace, was deeply shaken. Khadija described the event to the well-known Waraka bin Nawfal, who told her to send him to him. God's messenger, upon whom be blessings, went to Waraka and told him how the revelation had come. Waraka said, "Good news, O Muhammad. I testify that you are the awaited prophet who was foretold by Jesus. That is, don't worry, it was truly the coming of revelation." Sixth, before the prophetic mission, a Gnostic called Athkalan al-Himyari asked the Quraysh when he saw them, "Is there anyone among you who claims prophethood?" They replied in the negative. He again asked them at the start of his mission, and this time their reply was affirmative. Athkalan said, "The world is awaiting him." Seventh, Ibn al-Alay, a famous Christian scholar, told of God's messenger, upon whom be peace, before his mission, never having seen him. He later came, saw the messenger, upon whom be peace, and said, "By the one who sent you in truth, I found your description in the Gospels, and the son of Mary gave glad tidings of your coming." Eighth, mentioned above was the Negus of Abyssinia, who declared, "Would that I had been the servant of Muhammad the Arabian, upon whom be blessings and peace, rather than a king. To serve him would have been far superior to this sovereignty." In addition to these tidings given by these learned men through divine inspiration from the unseen, soothsayers too gave news from the unseen of the coming of God's messenger, upon whom be blessings and peace, and of his prophethood, by means of jinn and spirit beings. These are numerous also, and we shall mention a few which are well known, have reached the degree of consensus in meaning, and are related in most of the books of history and the prophets, upon whom be peace, biography. Referring the lengthy accounts of them to those books, we shall give only a summary of them. The first is the famous soothsayer, Shirk, who had only one eye, one arm, and one leg. He was quite simply half a man. His repeated predictions concerning Muhammad's, upon whom be peace, messengership have passed into the history books with the certainty of consensus in meaning. The second is the famous soothsayer of Damascus, Sati, who was a monstrosity lacking bones, and even limbs, whose face was in his chest, and who lived a very long time. He was highly reputed at that time for the correct information he gave concerning the unseen. The Persian king, Khosrow, even, sent a learned envoy called Mubezan to ask Sati to interpret a strange dream he had at the time of Muhammad's, upon whom be peace, birth, in which the 14 pinnacles of his palace collapsed. Sati said, 14 men will rule over you, then your empire will be destroyed. Also someone will come who will announce a religion. He will abolish both your religion and your empire, sending news of this to Khosrow. In this way, Sati explicitly foretold the coming of the prophet of the end of time. As written in detail in the books of history and the prophet's biography, soothsayers like Sawad bin Qarib al-Dawsi, Khunafir, Afa al-Najran, Jidl bin Jidl al-Kindi, Ibn Khalasat al-Dawsi, and Fatima bint al-Nu'man al-Najariya foretold the coming of the prophet of the end of time, stating that that prophet was Muhammad, upon whom be peace. Also, one of Uthman's relations, Sa'd bin Bint al-Qurayz, received knowledge from the unseen by means of soothsaying about the prophethood of Muhammad, upon whom be blessings and peace. In the early days of Islam, he told Uthman Dil Nurayn to go and accept faith. Uthman did so and entered the fold of Islam at the beginning. Sa'd expressed the event with a poem, which went like this: "Through my words, God has guided Uthman to the source that yields righteousness. Truly God guides to the truth." Like soothsayers, jinns who were invisible but whose voices were heard, called Hatif, repeatedly foretold the coming of God's noble messenger, upon whom be blessings and peace. For example, an invisible jinn shouted out the following to Dayab bin al-Harith, and was the reason that he and others accepted Islam. O Dayab, listen to the oddest thing. Muhammad has appeared with the book. He is calling on Mecca, yet they do not respond to him. Another unseen jinn called out to Sama bin Karat al-Ghatafani, the truth has come in manifest radiance, the false is destroyed and uprooted, and caused him and some others to believe. Such messages and good tidings given by unseen jinns are extremely well known and numerous. Just as the voices of jinns and the soothsayers foretold him, so too idols and sacrifices slaughtered for the idols gave news of the prophethood of God's messenger, upon whom be peace. For example, one is the famous story of the idol of the Mazan tribe, who shouted out, "This is the prophet who has been sent. He comes with the revealed truth," telling of Muhammad's, upon whom be peace, messengership. Another is the well-known incident which caused Abbas bin Mardas to accept Islam. There was an idol called Dimar, which one day called out, "Dimar was worshipped before the declaration of Muhammad. That misguidance can no longer continue." Before he accepted Islam, Umar heard an animal sacrificed to an idol exclaim, "O sacrificer, the means of success are at hand." An eloquent man proclaiming no God but God. There are very many more examples like these, which have been accepted as authentic and narrated in reliable books. And just as soothsayers, Gnostics, invisible jinns, and even idols and sacrifices told of Muhammad's, upon whom be peace, messengership, and each instance was the cause of people coming to believe in him, so too inscriptions on stones over and in graves, and on gravestones like "Muhammad, a worker of righteousness, the trustworthy," were the means of some people coming to believe. Because in the time shortly before Muhammad, upon whom be blessings and peace, lived, there were only 7 men bearing that name, and not one of them deserved the epithet of righteous and trustworthy. The third kind. These are irhasat, including the wondrous events which occurred at the time of, and in conjunction with, the birth of God's noble messenger, upon whom be blessings and peace. There were also events that occurred before his prophetic mission, which were miracles. They were many, and we shall mention a few examples that became famous, have been accepted by the authorities on hadiths, and whose authenticity have been established. Well, first, on the night of the Prophet's, upon whom be peace, birth, both his mother and the mothers of Uthman bin al-Az and Abd al-Rahman bin Auf, who were with her, saw a brilliant, widely scattered light, about which they said, "At the time of his birth we saw a light so bright, it lit up the east and the west for us." The second, that night most of the idols in the Kaaba toppled over and fell to the ground. The third, that night the famous Iwan of Chosro's palace shook and cracked apart, and its 14 pinnacles collapsed. The fourth, that night the small lake of Save, which was considered to be holy, sank into the ground, and at Istakrabad the fire which, burning continuously for 1,000 years, the Zoroastrians had worshipped, was extinguished. These 4 events indicated that the person who had just been born would abolish fire worship, destroy the palace of the Persian kings, and prevent those things being sanctified that God did not permit. The fifth, although they did not coincide with the night of Muhammad's, upon whom be peace, birth, certain events that took place not long before, it are also included in the Irhasad. One is the War of the Elephant, which is mentioned in the Quran in Surah al-Fil. Abraha, the king of Abyssinia, came to destroy the Kaaba, driving a huge elephant called Mahmudi before his forces. When they came close to Mecca, the elephant was unable to move. They could not make it move forward and had to retreat. While retreating, a flock of birds attacked and routed them, and they fled. This extraordinary story is recorded in detail in the history books. The event was one of the proofs of Muhammad's, upon whom be peace, prophethood, for it occurred close in time to his birth and saved the holy Kaaba, his Qibla, birthplace and native land, from Abraha's destruction. The sixth, according to the testimony of Halima al-Sa'diya and her husband, when God's messenger, upon whom be blessings and peace, was with them in his childhood, they frequently saw a cloud above him, shielding him from the sun. They told everyone this, and it was well known and authenticated. Also, as testified to by the monk Bahira, when the noble messenger, upon whom be peace, went to Damascus at the age of 12, he saw a cloud casting a shadow over his head, and he pointed this out. Again, before his prophetic mission, one time God's messenger, upon whom be peace, returned from a trading journey he made together with Khadijah's servant Maysara, when Khadijah saw two angels shading him like clouds. She mentioned this to her servant Maysara, and he replied, I observed the same thing throughout our journey. The seventh, it is established in a sound narration that before his prophetic mission, God's messenger, upon whom be blessings and peace, sat down under a tree. Although the place was dried up, it suddenly grew green. The tree's branches inclined over his head, twisting back and shading him. The eighth, when the noble messenger, upon whom be blessings and peace, was small, he stayed in Abu Talib's house. Whenever he ate together with Abu Talib and his household, they would eat to repletion, whereas when he was not present, they were not satisfied. This is both well known and definite. Also, Ayman, who looked after and served the noble messenger, upon whom be blessings and peace, when he was small, said, God's messenger, upon whom be peace, never complained about being hungry or thirsty, neither when small, nor when he was older. The ninth, it is both well known and definite that unlike other members of her tribe, his wet nurse Halima al-Sa'diya's goats and possessions were very productive and abundant. Also, flies did not bother him. They never alighted on his clothes or blessed body, just as one of his progeny, Sayyid Abd al-Qadir Gilani, received this legacy from his forefather, for flies never alighted on him either. The 10th, after God's noble messenger, upon whom be blessings and peace, was born, and especially on the night of his birth, there was a great increase in falling stars. As shown with decisive proofs in the 15th word, falling stars are a sign of jinns and devils being barred from receiving news of the unseen. Thus, since God's messenger, upon whom be blessings and peace, had appeared in the world together with revelation, it was necessary to prevent the knowledge about the unseen being transmitted by soothsayers, diviners, and jinn, which was inaccurate and mixed with lies, so that their knowledge should not cause any doubts about revelation, and should not resemble it. Before the prophetic mission, soothsaying was widespread. Then, with its revelation, the Quran brought it to an end. Indeed, many soothsayers accepted Islam, for they could no longer find their informers, who were jinns. That is, the Quran had put an end to it. And these days a new type of soothsaying has appeared in the form of mediums among the spiritualists of the West. But we shall not go into that now. In short, very many events occurred and persons appeared, confirming and causing others to confirm the prophethood of the noble messenger, upon whom be blessings and peace, before the commencement of his mission. For sure, before the appearance of the one who was going to be the ruler of the world and would change the world's spiritual shape, and would make this world into the tillage for the next, and proclaim the high value of the creatures of the world, and show to man and jinn the way to eternal happiness and save them from everlasting extinction, and solve the obscure talisman of the world, and riddle of the wisdom in its creation, and would know and make known the purposes of the universe's creator, and recognize the creator and acquaint him to all men. Before such a one appeared, surely everything, all species and realms of beings would be happy at his coming, would await him and welcome and applaud him. And if his coming was made known to them by their creator, they in turn would announce it. Indeed, we saw in the above signs and examples how each realm of creature displayed his miracles as if welcoming him, and confirmed his prophethood through the tongue of miracles.